Nothing like a good shave. I'll say, why do you keep following me? Hello one, hello all, it's the most shorts ghost of them all, Caspa in the flesh, and it's time for a review of Gracie Abrams, The Secret of Us. Gracie Abrams is a singer, songwriter, and this is her sophomore album. She first hit the scene with her indie album, Good Riddance, where she did have a bit of a small team going on, but now working with Aaron Dessner, Jack Antonoff, Justin Vernon. And if this team sounds familiar, if this album sounds familiar, if the sound sounds familiar, if the lyrics sound like they could be on something of an artist that you've probably heard of, probably know of, you're absolutely right. It does. And that artist is Taylor Swift. See, there's certainly a trend going on here, and she's not the first to do this. We pretty much got a whiff of this when we had Young Thug come on the scene, and then came Gunna and Lil Baby, who were pretty much copies of him. And then we went to have Playboi Carti, where we had Ken Carson being a ripoff of him. Yeet for a little bit, but Yeet, I feel, has surpassed Playboi Carti, in my opinion. But it didn't stop there, as we had Don Toliver, prodigy of Travis Scott. And now we have Taylor manufacturing Gracie. Now, for someone who's listened to as much Taylor Swift, I pretty much know a Taylor Swift ripoff when I hear one. And I also know a Lorde ripoff when I hear one. Like, the Swiftyisms are very unignorable here. For anyone who's listened to this album critically, for anyone who's listened to a Taylor album critically, for anyone who has listened to a Lorde album critically, the Lordisms, the Swiftyisms, they're clear as day. To the hushed, breathy, melodic vocal runs, to the faux grand buildups, it really puts the cherry on top of this flavorless cake, which happens continuously throughout this album. Like on the track Us, which actually features Taylor Swift. And the whole thing sounds like a leftover from the Tortured Poets Department album. And the voices are so identical. If I was put in a scenario where the two voices were in front of me and I had to blast one of them out of existence, I wouldn't know which one to choose. And the Taylor Swift impersonations don't end there. In fact, when it comes to the lyrics, this would be the equivalent of someone using Taylor Swift AI and then using ChatGPT. This would be the equivalent of that. And as far as production goes, it's so star-studded, yet there's some songs here that sound very cheap. Very ill-conceived. Like on Normal Thing, where the thumping beat, the strings, the bass, they're just so non-existent and drowned out by the vocals. And when she's out ripping off Taylor, best believe she's ripping off Lorde or Olivia Rodrigo. Case in point, The Closer, which sounds like what would happen if Taylor did a remake of a Lorde song. Which honestly comes to me as an aha moment, due to the fact that Taylor has the tendency to, does have the tendency to rip off what is ever trendy, such as Lana, such as Olivia Rodrigo, which Gracie does unapologetically on Blowing Smoke. Also, I Love You, I'm Sorry, which not only follows up with the Taylor formula, but why are the vocals such a mess on the back end? I do think there are a few tracks that are a bit interesting in terms of production choices, and she does sound a little more unique on the decent tracks, like on the opener, which plays a good tone setter to the album, such as Making Regretfully Bad Decisions, which play into the theme of the album. And I do like the glimmering chords. In the track I Gave You, I do like the droning chords on there, and I feel it does draw a self-aware narrative here, reflecting on the toxic relationship she was involved in. And lyrically, this thing is just loaded with cliches, just to name a few. Like, I had a glass backbone and it broke, or I cheered the loudest for you when you won your trophies. And the song Good Luck Charlie is just a long-winded snoozer. And the song Free Now just edges for a climax that never happens. And there's lyrics on here that are also vastly concerning, that read of Taylorisms, like on the opening lines to Risk. Said I wouldn't do it, but I hunted you down. And Tough Love is probably one of the most ill-conceived songs on the album, with a really weird bridge that goes, I'm not gonna miss the way he kicked me in bed while sleeping. I'm not gonna miss his shitty friends and the nights of binge drinking. I'm not gonna miss his inflated ego and shallow thinking. Yeah, I would hope you don't miss those. But the way she's insinuating it is that she might. There's just a lot of lyrical contradictory on this album. Like where she asked the ex if the girl that he's seeing now is pretty like she is online. Are your conversations cool? Are you even interested? Like she draws the guy to be so shallow, but yet then she comes off shallow in some of the lyrics on this album. And some of the lyrics later on, like saying, oh, I'm dating this guy, but we're probably gonna break up soon. So yeah, this thing just feels like just Taylor put someone in position to just drag on her legacy in the most uninteresting, unflattering way. Like this is supposed to be her mini-me, and just that. So outside of a few decent tracks, I thought this thing was boring, flavorless, derivative, pointless. And that's something I see myself returning to, truly and honestly. I'm feeling a 1.5 out of 5 on this album, but if you've given this a listen, what did you think of it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Why? And that's it. Caspa, Gothic Ghost, Gracie Abrams, The Secret of Us. Till we meet again.